So these next three teams, I feel like you can ask me like tomorrow and I'll have a different answer. You could ask me yesterday, I could have a different answer. But right now, my third team is Sixers over Clippers. The Clippers, I have 5. The Clippers. So last year we talked about like the Clippers as like being like the most deep team in the league, and here we are a year later with they have 2 guys and like Ibaka, who's like a half a guy. You know what I mean? Like they really
when
don't
you look at this team
have
on
a
paper,
roster. They don't have.
I'm with you, Brandon. I'm with you.
They're literally the Celtics of the West. Like this is what we've been talking about the Celtics, where it's like it's just the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum show. Like that's basically what it's turned into with Kawhi and Paul George. And Kawhi, we'll see how it is in the playoffs, but he's lost a step defensively, statistically speaking, which again could just be more of a load management issue. But and just Paul George.
Oh, it's load management. Kawhi's fine.
It's hard to visualize the Clippers winning this title right now. It's just like with the way Paul playoff P, if he shows up, we'll see. Like they clearly have the talent to do it, but it's hard to take him seriously right now.
See, for me, it is the emergence of like Terrence Mann. It's getting Rondo, which effectively helps them in that one of their worst positions, which
playoff Rondo
means they don't have to start Reggie Jackson.
Playoff Rondo, Brandon? Come on, what are you talking about? He's an impact player. I'm with Abel.
I mean, we'll see, but like
the easiest guy to flip right there. You just bait him with a little candy, a little cash, and Joe's on the side.
Playoff Rondo.
You don't think LeBron had anything to do with Rondo playing the way he did?
Of course. I'm just saying I think the Clippers have like enough juice to maybe make a run, but yeah.
Where do you have them? Where do you have the Clippers?
I have them as the 4.
You have them 4? So we all have them different. Abel has them 3rd. You have them 4. I have them 5. So
yeah,
we're all high on them to an extent, but a little different.
For me, I mean, also number 1 in offense efficiency, number 1 in 3-point percentage, number 2 in true shooting percentage. They have the 4th least amount of turnovers. They give up the 6th least amount of points per game, and they're 8th in assist to turnover ratio. So they're as efficient as it comes on the offensive and defensive end. They don't turn the ball over. They play together, and they have the star power in Kawhi and Paul George to make a deep playoff run. So that's why, for me, that's what puts them over the edge, because it's about the star power and having those 2 star powers that I feel like could lock anybody down. And then adding Boogie Cousins.
Hold up, though. Paul George has been cooked by Luka like every time they've played this year. I don't know. Paul George might have lost a step. I'm a Paul George fan. I'm just saying, like, I feel like people beat Paul George a lot. So we might not have to.
But it's about consistency. He'll consistently be a good player throughout the game. You're sure he'll get cooked a couple of times, but I mean he's gonna come back and get.
No, I can't call out Paul George. He's a great defender. I'm just saying it's weird. Like I've seen Luka like steal his lunch money every time they play.
You look at their team. Like I don't think of them as an offensive team. I think of them as like a defensive team, or like when you have Kawhi and Paul George as your anchor. And right now they're 12th in defense, and they're first, like Abel said, in offense. And I just think like when it comes down to playoffs, like. I think LeBron and AD are gonna be able to have enough offense to compete with them, and like they just have the defense. I think could like outplay them. I mean, I hope we see that series this year. We have to see it. The world we missed it for a year.
I'll be so sad if we don't see it, because I need to see Anthony Davis go hard as hell against Ibaka and Zubac and just see what happens, because I feel like that's the game. You know, if Anthony Davis can win that like by a lot, then yeah, the Clippers have no chance.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, increasing Boogie. Ibaka, Zubac hasn't played too bad. Increasing your point guard depth by adding Rondo to the Reggie Jackson. I mean, Terrence Mann sometimes will play point guard position, and then having the star power. That's why they're the edge. I mean, I got Sixers right behind it. Yeah, I got the Sixers 4th. You got the Sixers 3rd. Brandon, you got the Sixers 3rd as well.
Mm-hmm. So we both got Sixers 3rd, Gene?
Yeah.
I think their defense is 2nd right now. Their offense is 13th, which, you know, it's not great, but they're basically the Lakers of the East. And I just think when it comes to, like, the star power of Embiid, like, he's just going to give you a chance in the playoffs. It just comes, like, I mean, people are going to look to last year when they got swept, but that was without Simmons. And just without more optimized team with Daryl Morey at the helm, putting the pieces together better. So I think the Sixers are 3rd right now.
Simmons is the best defender in the league.
Yeah.
He's my defensive player of the year. So, like, when you have somebody that is that much of a game changer, and then on the other end he makes, like, passes only, like, 3 other dudes in the league can make, like, I don't care that he can't shoot at this point. He's so good at what he's good at that he can still help them win a championship and get them to a championship. So, yeah, I really like their mix. I think Doc Rivers has totally come in and like kind of done what Brett Brown couldn't do. Not to call out Brett Brown, but like this team really looks like they have an identity, and they just really have an identity with Doc Rivers, and everybody gets shots, and maybe that's Daryl Morey too for coming in and getting the pieces that they needed, but this team just looks completely different. I'm really in on them.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'm almost hating on them a little bit because a lot of their points come from the free throw line. So just being a little more dependent on getting that call, like sure, Embiid's going to get those calls, but that is kind of something that made me pick the Clippers over them. But defensively, I mean, it's another thing where I'm favoring the offensive team slightly. Like I favored the Nets over the Lakers, offense over defense. Same thing with this one. Slight favor for 3 or 4 because offense and defense. But I mean, yeah, you guys, realistically, besides the Lakers, the Sixers have the most complete defense. Second in steals, you got the big 3 of Tybal, Embiid, Simmons, and then throwing in some good ball handlers with Shake and Tyrese. I mean, we've all been pretty high on it, but obviously, who knows how... Yeah, the addition of George Hill.
I liked it, though.
But, it's a good addition, especially for veteran leadership.
It's what they needed, 7th man,
But don't get me wrong. I mean, still in my top 5. Still, I think, realistically, Nets, Sixers is an Eastern Conference Finals that is most likely going to happen, and it's going to be as tight as it gets. I mean, Embiid's going to be a problem for the Nets because they're obviously going to play small, and I don't think DeAndre Jordan, Nick Claxton could even compete with Embiid. So that's going to be interesting. So obviously, Brandon, I mean, me and Joe got the Clippers and the Sixers flipped for 3 and 4. We're not even going to move to 5 because you got the Bucks. I think at 4.
Wow,
is that what you're saying? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Put some respect on my guy Giannis' name, bro. Like,
you got him at 4 though.
You got the 7-foot Michael Jordan, and you're gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, he's not even a top 5 championship contender, bro." Like, I get that the last couple of years.
Let's see him shoot from mid-range better.
When Giannis hits a fadeaway Elo shot.
Yeah,
I'll give him. I'll jump him up to 1. Screw the Nets, man. We don't need the Nets. If he's hitting that Elo shot, if he's hitting that fadeaway,
DiVincenzo's for, bro. Like Giannis doesn't need to do that, dude. Giannis is just.
Dude, didn't you roast me at the beginning of the year saying DiVincenzo was a serviceable player?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely not part of my argument at all. It's all comes down to Giannis, Middleton, and Drew. Like it's a pretty solid 3-man group. I think they're all 2-way players. I think you just kind of have to give them credit. At the end of the day, Giannis is still probably like the best player in the league. We'll see how it translates into the playoffs as he's been knocked out in like the second round every year the last couple of years. But I still think like just the talent wise, you have to give him, the slight benefit of the doubt, which it's understandable if it's hard to do. I just think the hesitancy you give the Bucks is exactly what I give the Clippers, and I think they're both on the same sort of playing field where they're both like talent wise could do it, but mentally, can they get through it? I don't know. We'll see. So that's where I'm at with them.
Yeah, I'll back you up, Brandon. Because I would say the biggest thing is their last 5 is not too bad. It could go toe-to-toe with a lot of teams between Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, PJ Tucker, and like you said, DiVincenzo, who is like, he can get the job done. He's their weakest link. But every team has someone that is not like...
I'm putting PJ Tucker in there.
I think PJ Tucker could play a little bit better now that he's on this team. I feel like he was just not giving anywhere near as much effort. Yeah, so like I think he could still be an effective guy. Like otherwise, I don't know why the Bucks would have pursued the buyout. They would really be grasping at straws. But I think they could put together a good stretch run in the playoffs, especially since it's go time for Giannis. Like he just signed this max. Like otherwise, he looks silly. So I believe in them to an extent. Like I need to see them do it. They haven't done it for us.
So where do you guys have the Bucks right now?
I mean, you're not gonna like this, but I got them at 7.
I got them at 6.
Wow.
Yeah. We're right next to each other. Yeah.